All right, good day, everybody. I wanted to do a review, trade review, and I've got pulled up the SPY. I like the SPY instead of the SPX GEX, but I also have the GEX values over here. I'll give you a little go through SPX, SPY, and QQQ on the right here on the screen. I've got pulled up for today, July 9th, 9:30 a.m. I've got it incrementing by 2 minutes here at the bottom. All right, so I took a trade at the beginning of the day. We were looking at a SPY of 74.85, and so I chose a strike. It was going to go. It was looking like long right out of the gate to me, with 7,500 above, peak of stack here, low numbers here at the bottom on SPY, higher numbers, well, about evenly. And then we were on top of the king node on QQQ. It looked like up, but not sure, right? Not sure, since we're starting out right in the middle, and not a lot of divergence. Not a large number. If you add all these numbers together, they're about the same as all the numbers on the bottom, it looks like to me. So what I did was, let me look, come to my Thinkorswim platform, and I have pulled up the 75.25. Like I said, we were trading at 74.85, so I went 40 points out of the money, and I can't remember exactly the delta, but I want to say it was close to a 0.35, 0.4, right around there. So, and then I have this on 2-minute bars actually, so we can look as the day started. I took an $8 strike, and it dropped a little bit, and I took another 650 strike, and we're bringing us up to the 650 or 750, 950 time frame. So we'll go here and sequence through here, so you can see what I was looking at coming off the dark pool layer, and the 75.50 lit up. So we moved up. We're underneath now of our king nodes, so that doesn't look good to me on SPY and QQQ. So what time are we at? 10:16. So you can see also here where I sold on the 950 at $8.50. So I took a small profit, right? $8.0650. I sold both of them at $8.50, so that was a profit of $2.50. So 250 bucks on those two contracts. And then into, oh, dang it, back to here at, where am I at on the top? I'm at the 10:16, so let's move myself forward here. All right, so I bought that $8. I bought one more contract, two contracts at $8, because I was like, you know what, I think it's going to go up, because I'm looking at the 75.50, right? But I was wrong, and we knifed back down through the dark pool, and we dropped. So we're dropping down here, 746. King node for QQQ is up. We're at the king node on SPY, and we have the 75.50 up above. So I wanted to wait. And also, this also shows the importance of sizing for zero in my account. So I do size for zero, and so you can see we knifed down through here. We're down at $5. And I took another stab at $4.70. There's 3 contracts. I usually run 4 or 5 contracts, but today or yesterday I didn't want to go in more than 3, just because my confluence wasn't adding up quite as much as I like it, right? So we're still at the king node on SPY. We do have the 749, which looks good to me.
We have 𝗒𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂 right here. We have positive GEX here, and not a lot building below. So that's good to me. Same thing over here on Qs and SPX. So I'm going to move forward 1020, and we bounce 1024. If we look back down here on my platform, you see we have the 1020 also bouncing here into 1030. Right, 1030, 1032, and we slow down right here into 11 o'clock. So really, if you look over here, we're gaining on the bottom side, which doesn't look good to me. That's why I'm not adding more contracts, and I left it at 3 contracts. We look good on Qs to go up, we look good on SPX to go up, but we're not looking the best on SPY. So we have a little divergence. I'll tell you the other thing that I look at. I'll bring this up here too. Let me bring this back here. As I look at the VIX. Alright, so let me zoom this in a bit. So this was that dip here, 1030, and we started moving up. Now 10 o'clock is when we hit the pivot. I saw the pivot coming right here, and I said, you know what? Well, that's right where I picked up the third contract too, at around right after that point. But I expected it to knife through the pivot and keep going down. Well, that didn't happen, right? We bounced off of it. So I felt secure with this chart here. So I'm just backtracking a little bit here. So we did see this bounce on the VIX right off of the pivot, off of Archie's pivot. I'll leave a link below to find Archie on X, and you can subscribe for very little money to get these numbers. But then we came on into 11 o'clock before we crossed back over the pivot. So anyway, let's go back to Skylit, to Atlas, and we're already at 11 o'clock now. We started chopping a bit here once we reached the dark pool. So let's move on through 11, and we took off. As you can see from our VIX, we came on down through about 11 o'clock, and we kept going. So here's where I'll take some off the table once we make a substantial move up, coming into 11 o'clock. Alright, here we go. We're hitting $7 mark, so I'm getting back closer to break even on 3 contracts. $8.59 coming into 11.20. And now I'll tell you this too, you can set your limit orders. I usually have the active trader open, the DOM right here. I closed it for now to have more screen space. But if you set an order here, a lot of times it'll hit your order without the bar going up there. Now it did eventually go to $10 here on this bar at the 11.22 bar. But I set the order, and somebody hits market, and it'll fill you outside of the bars. Anyway, just a side note there. Now let's go on through. So then we took a dip there. So I'm wanting to unload 2 out of 3 of these contracts, and then I want to leave one running because I'm ready to call it a night and head on to bed. So where are we at on our chart here? Past 11:30. Let me go back to our Atlas view. You can see here upside at the money, upside, and we have some good values to the top, values to the bottom, but we're really just not really doing anything. We're not making a lot of moves. but we're coming back up to where we were, which is what I figured we would. The 75.50 is my target. All right, so I'll let you know where I head to bed and leave one running, and what my math is on setting a closing order. So now we get to the dark pool about 11:30, right? At this time I'm watching a little TV, chilling, waiting for it to play out. We're at the dark pool, going into 12 noon. So 12 noon, I'm usually done trading by 12 noon, but this one's kept me through a little later than I usually stay up. So let's go on in here. 11:50. See, we're chopping 9, 10, 10 at 12 noon, right? So let's see what we get. That's 12:02, 12:04. So this is probably going to have some movement here too. 12:04. So we popped a little bit. Back to the VIX at 12 o'clock right here. We're still just grinding up. Now we're coming to our blue line. We get a rejection at 12:20. But I could see, now what I was looking at whenever we were rejecting at 12:20, the VIX didn't spike when we dipped a bit. The VIX didn't spike when we dipped a bit. It stayed level, right? So if you look at the VIX stays level right here. Why is my line? Oh, turn my magnet off. And then my line color, where's my line at? All right. The VIX stayed level here, if not declining a bit, right? So 12 o'clock, 12:30, when we were dipping, we stayed level. Or yeah, when we were dipping, we stayed level. Okay. So we just meandered for quite some time here. All right, let me come back down here to my, I'm sorry, I wasn't sharing the right screen. Let me go back on this. 12:38. You can look right here. 12:30. This section, when we came to the blue line and we dipped, we didn't go, the VIX did not spike. Okay, it stays level, if not decreasing a bit. That tells me we're going higher. Okay, so that just, I reviewed that real quick. So here we are moving into this dip. Not a big dip, but it's still a move, right? All right, so now we're going back up at 1 o'clock, 13:06. Let's come back to the trading software. All right, I sold another one at 11.5 because I wanted to get out of 2, so now we're in profit. These were purchased at 2 at 8 and 1 at 4.7, so we've got 1 at 8 gone at 10. That's $2, $3.50, so $5.50 profit, and then this one 4.7 is well into profit. All right, so that's the one I left to run. Moving into 1 o'clock, but it was, I went to bed right in this area here. But here's my calculation. So at this time, the price was trading about 11.50, and our target, my target, was 15.50. So at this time, the delta was 0.6. So I took 0.6 times the number of dollars move it was about $20 move, and let me see, I'll just do backwards. I remember it was $9 divided by 0.6, so it's $15 move. And so I did the math. 0.6 times 15 is 9. I took $9 plus 11 and made my target 20 bucks. So that's what I expected to fill at. If it didn't fill, I was going to let it ride until the close. So here we come into 1 o'clock, right? All right, here we are at 1 o'clock. We're at 13. Let's go back up here to my screen here. Here we are at 1 o'clock. And we did just what I thought we would. We moved right on up. Above the 751 on the SPY. Right into here. Now, the top on SPX was 1345. Let's switch this over to SPX. 1345 right here, and the top was 75.46.90. 75.46.90. My target was 75.45 is what I calculated my closing order for. And watch, and looking at the VIX, how it kept on going down or stayed level pretty nicely throughout the day. I'll go back over here to trading, and my trade exited on its own about right there at 1340 something. Kept going, it exited at 20 bucks right at the top of the game. I mean, we missed a little bit of move, right? How much did we miss? $2. Not a big deal. So that's a pretty good trade. 4.7 to 20 bucks. That's $15.30. So 1,530 bucks. That's 1,530 plus we had 2 plus we had 350. So 2,000 bucks for the day. Not a bad trade. And hopefully you got a look at Atlas and how we read the maps, right? So there's a lot of stuff going on. I'll say there's a lot of things going on with Skylit, okay? So we have this too. So I'm also watching this market tide. The calls are going up, puts were staying level. So I'm looking at that. I'm looking and seeing what the top calls are being. Is there a lot of calls here in aggressive bets and repetitive bets? What's the top industries? So bullish, bullish, bullish. Everything's bullish, right? Large opening orders, mostly calls, right? So there's a lot of stuff to look at over here on Skylit. Dark feed, live feed, flow scanner. Drop a comment down below if there's anything you want me to review. I'm not an expert on this stuff, but I have been studying quite a bit, and I'm using this full platform. Not a lot of TradingView anymore either. TradingView, I'm not hardly using TradingView anymore, except for my VIX levels, and I actually lessened my what do you call it? My subscription. So I went to a cheaper subscription because I don't need all that stuff, right? So leave some comments below, questions, suggestions, anything you have to comment about, and we can chat about it. And I will do some more of these videos in the future. Until then, safe trading out there. Size for zero. Play the chart. That's how I was able to hit this 20, because I played the chart, and the chart clearly told me 75.50. So I set that as my target. And it actually, then the other part about that is, if you pick a good strike that's going to be in the money at the end of the day, you're going to end in the money. And this one ended in the money. Even if it missed 20 bucks, it would have ended in the money, and it wouldn't have lost all its value, and I would have cashed out at 17.5. So still a win. So choose your strikes wisely, closer to the money, instead of taking the cheap way out of the money where where gamma decay happens on your delta. Your delta decays, and then a $1 move doesn't equal anything. The only way that works is if you're choosing a strike that is closer in the money. You see, I picked the 25 when we were down here, right? I chose the 75.25, which was out of the money by 40 points. And my target, not being this target, sometimes I'll change to a closer. So I'll if I'm going to add, I don't stay in the same. Say I have two contracts in 75.25, and I don't see anything up here, and we get later in the day, say 11 o'clock, I'll move it down to 75.10 or 75.15. I try to stay at the $10 mark, between $8 and $12. If you look between $8 and $12 value, you'll find the right delta, and you'll be close enough to the money to make some money. The other thing is, play your chart right. Start trimming when you get up into this 75.20, which is exactly why I was trimming. I was hitting dark pool and 75.15, going right into that 20 mark is where I was trimming. Right at, you see what time did I trim? 11:20. So coming right into this, $11.20, coming into that dark pool, and then I trimmed another one at 12. That was more my patience running out and ready to go to bed. So that was going sideways. All right, guys, good luck out there, and hopefully that helps you, and I'll bring you some more of this type of content in the future.